The calm before the storm. The sun was setting on Colony 9, painting the sky with soft orange and pink light. The small human settlement was quiet and peaceful. Children played with alien friends, and the air smelled like clean dust and warm food. Everyone believed things were safe now. The wars were over. Humans and aliens worked together. The Galactic Council called it the Age of Peace. Alara stood outside her home, watching her daughter, Luma, play with glowing rocks near the garden. Luma was 6 years old, small and full of energy. She laughed as the rocks floated in the air, her hands dancing like magic. Alara smiled. No one who saw Alara would think she was once a soldier. She had left that life behind. She wore a soft brown cloak now, her black hair tied simply. Her hands no longer held weapons. They held seeds, tools, and her daughter. The peaceful life was all she wanted. That evening, a message came from the council. A group of high-ranking alien officials would visit Colony 9 the next morning. They were coming to observe human growth and celebrate cooperation. Alara didn't trust them, but she said nothing. They had too much power. It was better to stay quiet. Luma didn't care about politics. She just wanted to show her drawing to the alien guests. It was a picture of her and her mother standing on Earth, holding hands under a blue sky. The next morning, the alien ships landed. They were tall and shiny, with blue lights blinking on every side. From them stepped elegant-looking aliens, long limbs, smooth skin, eyes that glowed faintly. They smiled, but it was the kind of smile that didn't reach the heart. One alien, tall and wearing silver robes, leaned down and said to Luma, "You are interesting." Luma blinked. "I made this for you," she said, holding out her drawing. The alien took it, stared at it for a moment, and gave a strange nod. Alara stood nearby. Her muscles tensed just a little. Her instincts whispered, something wasn't right. But she stayed calm. After all, the council had power. Humans were supposed to be peaceful now. She walked Luma back home after the meeting. Everything felt normal again. Until night came. Alara woke in the middle of the night. Her arms reached for Luma's small body beside her. The bed was empty. Her heart stopped. She jumped up, ran outside, no sound, no footprints, just stillness and a cool wind. She checked every corner, every neighbor. "Have you seen Luma?" she asked. Faces turned worried. Doors opened. Lights came on. Then she saw the silver mark burned into the dirt behind the house. It was the council's transport signature. She contacted the council immediately. A voice responded. Calm, cold. There was a small mistake. One of the visitors believed the child was a sample candidate for observation. She will be returned after study. No harm will come to her. Alara's voice shook. She's 6. She's not a sample. She's my daughter. Please remain calm, Miss Alara, the voice said. We understand your emotions. We ask for patience. The call ended. Alara stood still for a long time. Then she walked to her closet. From behind old coats and boxes, she pulled out a hidden bag. Inside was a black knife, a pair of gloves, and a small metal ring. Her old soldier ring. She put it on. Her fingers were steady now. They want to see how calm humans are, she whispered. Let them watch. She picked up a small photo of Luma. Then she vanished into the night. The world thought Alara was just another colonist. They were wrong. She had buried her past deep under gardens and stories. But now, that past was awake, and it was hungry. The night she left Colony 9, she didn't say goodbye. She wore a black coat and slipped through the forest like a shadow. The council's ships were fast, but she knew the paths they always took. She still remembered their tracking codes, their cloaking patterns, and their blind spots. Alara wasn't just a mother. She was a weapon. Her first stop was an old contact, a broken-down robot named Jex, hiding in the black market junkyards of Kestrel Station. He used to build tools for war. Now he sold spare parts to miners. Jex blinked his cracked red eyes when he saw her. "I thought you were dead," he said. "I was," Ilara replied. "Until they took my daughter." Jex fell silent. He didn't ask questions. Instead, he gave her what she needed: a stealth suit, forged ID chips, and a short-range EMP dagger. "Nothing fancy, but it would be enough. I also intercepted this," Jex said, handing her a data core. "Encrypted council message, came in yesterday, said something about a category red human specimen." Ilara didn't blink. "They're experimenting on her," she whispered. She boarded a supply freighter headed for Silo 3, a secret council science outpost hidden in a gas giant's orbit. The place wasn't even on most star maps. Only ex-soldiers and smugglers knew about it. Inside the ship, she studied the outpost's layout on an old holo map. She found 3 points of entry. 2 were suicide. 1 had a chance. She chose that one. By the time she arrived, she looked like a council worker, clean suit, ID chip, fake eye tattoo. She entered with a group of real staff carrying a box labeled nutrient gel. No one stopped her. She followed them down sterile halls past strange humming machines. Then she slipped away when no one was looking. She used the EMP dagger to kill the lights in a maintenance tunnel, then crawled through a vent system, moving inch by inch. The sound of her own breath was the only thing she heard. Then, she found it. A room with thick glass walls. Inside were children. Human children. Some were crying. Some were asleep. Tubes were attached to their arms. Glowing monitors scanned their thoughts and dreams. And one bed was empty. Luma's name blinked in red on the screen above it. "Ilara?" came a weak voice behind her. She turned sharply. A young human boy stood there, pale and thin. His voice shook. "They moved her. Said she was special. Said she had something in her brain that made her glow." Ilara knelt. "Where did they take her?" The boy pointed up. "The capital, I think they said, Section 9. Her heart dropped. That was the Council's core research center, heavily guarded. No civilians allowed, no mercy given. Ilara turned back to the glass, her jaw tight. "I will come back for all of you," she said to the children. "But first, I'm bringing my daughter home." She planted a small data spike into the console. It would send the location of this lab to a few old human allies, ones who still remembered what it meant to fight. Then she climbed back into the vent and vanished again. As she escaped the station in the dead of night, sirens began to ring in the distance. Someone had discovered the missing files. Someone had seen the hacked camera feeds. The Council would soon know she was coming. The Galactic Council building on Iron Prime stood tall like a silver dagger stabbing the clouds. Inside, walls glowed soft blue. Guards walked in perfect patterns, and cameras blinked silently. It looked calm, clean, orderly. But beneath that smooth surface, something rotten was hiding, and Ilara had just arrived. Wearing the stolen uniform of a council courier, she entered through a side gate with a forged ID chip. No alarms rang, no guards blinked. The Council trusted their systems too much. She moved fast. Quiet. Her goal was Section 9, a classified research wing where only Tier 0 beings were allowed. She didn't have clearance. Yet. In a quiet corner, Ilara knocked out a young scientist and took his ID patch. She whispered softly as he faded out, "You'll wake up. I promise. But if you scream, I won't be there to save you." She slid into the restricted zone. The halls changed. No more windows, no more color, just steel wires and cold lights. She passed a room with tanks filled with strange glowing liquid. Inside floated children, human children. She froze. Not just Luma. Dozens. Some were awake, their eyes wide with confusion. Others slept in deep scans, their brain waves shown on monitors. The Council wasn't observing humans, they were harvesting them. She entered a control chamber. 2 alien scientists were talking in their native clicks and hisses. A screen showed A hologram of Luma trapped inside a circular room floating slightly above the floor. Blue lights spun around her. One alien tapped the screen. "The child radiates uncontrolled emotional waves," it said in translation. "Her fear causes a reaction in our instruments. It's dangerous," the other nodded. "We must extract before the mother arrives." "Too late," Alara said. They turned. Too slow. She moved fast. One was knocked out cold. The other backed away, trembling. "You knew she was my daughter?" Alara growled. The alien nodded slowly. "You lied to me," she whispered. "You lied to every human parent." The alien said, "We didn't lie. We simply didn't tell." "Wrong answer." Alara's fist answered for her. She accessed the system, copying every file, lab data, test results, secret orders, and then she saw it. A council document marked Red Code. Red Code, Emotional Energy Harvest Project. Subject: Human Children. Purpose: Extract psychic waveforms for weapon and control research. Reason: Human emotional energy too powerful to reproduce artificially. They didn't see her daughter as a person. They saw her as a weapon. And worse, the council had approved it. Every single member. Alara stared at the screen in silence. All these years she thought peace was real. She thought humans had been accepted. But the truth was now clear. The peace was fake. The council only smiled while stealing what they couldn't create. Suddenly the door slid open. A tall alien in golden robes stepped in. It was Chancellor Makir, one of the council leaders who had visited Colony 9. He looked directly at her. "You should not be here." Alara raised her weapon. "Neither should you." Makir didn't flinch. "Do you think violence will change anything?" "No," she said coldly. "But it will make you listen." She backed toward the exit, data spike in hand. Makir said, "The council let humans live because they were useful. But you? You're just proving we were right to fear your kind." Alara stopped. She turned her head just enough to look him in the eye. "You were right to fear us," she said. "You just picked the wrong mother." Then she was gone, vanishing into smoke as the alarm screamed behind her. Deep in the ruins of a forgotten war satellite, far from any council patrol route, Alara sat alone. She didn't cry. She sharpened her blade, one edge for lies, one edge for silence, and one edge for the monster who took her child. The data she had stolen burned in her mind. Human children had been used like tools, their dreams pulled apart, their fears turned into fuel. Her daughter wasn't special to the council. They had classified her as a high-yield energy core, like a battery, like a thing. Alara breathed in, slowly, deeply, not to calm herself, but to remember what rage felt like when it was focused. She opened her old soldier kit. Inside, a pulse rifle wrapped in cloth, an invisibility harness missing, 2 power cells and a small photo of Luma, smiling, holding a flower made of light. She tucked the photo close to her heart. On the satellite's surface, she made a call, not through standard frequencies but through Earth 77 Blackwave, an old human war protocol long banned by the council. Her message was only 4 words. "I'm going in, alone." She knew who would receive it. A few scattered, humans still hiding in old systems, deserters, ghosts of past wars. She didn't ask for help. She just wanted them to watch. That night, Alara hijacked a council research freighter. She didn't walk in with guns. She let them capture her. She let them bind her in chains. And when they brought her to Section 9's capital facility thinking she was a rebel spy, she smiled behind her bruised lip. Because now, she was inside. A scientist came to question her. Thin, pale, nervous. "Tell me your name," he said. "Alara." "You're the mother, aren't you?" "Yes. You should have stayed home." Alara leaned forward, chains clinking. "You should have never taken a child." The lights blinked, and then everything died. The walls sparked. The screens went black. Backup lights flickered red. Alara's collar unlocked. Her hands rose. The scientist gasped. How? I've been learning, she whispered. From you. 10 minutes later, the interrogation room exploded. She moved through smoke like a ghost. Silent. Deadly. Precise. Every guard who saw her fell before he could speak. Every camera shorted out before it could record. She knew the hallways now. Knew the patrol shifts. Knew how to hurt this place from the inside. She used their systems against them, turned their doors into traps, their drones into weapons, their pride into panic. In the lower levels, she reached Sector Delta, where the youngest human children were kept. She found cages. She found data chips labeled Emotional Extraction Level 5. She found Luma's voice and recorded on repeat. Please, I want my mom. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from fury. She placed explosives on the main power core and whispered, let this place burn. She found one last terminal and sent a live message through every council system she could hack. Her voice echoed across their grand halls, their ships, their meetings. This is Alara, human, mother. You took from me. You took from many. We are not your lab rats. We are not your pets. We are not your property. You wanted to see our true nature? Then watch me burn your lies to the ground. Then she shut it off and walked toward the highest tower where Luma was waiting. In the highest chambers of the Galactic Council, silence fell. The room was made of crystal and gold. Alien leaders from 12 powerful species sat around a floating table. They had ruled for centuries. They had ended wars, bent galaxies to their will, and built peace through fear. But now, they watched one woman tear it all apart. On the screen before them, flames consumed Section 9. Labs exploded, guards ran screaming, and Alara, just one human, walked through it like she was born. From fire. This is impossible, whispered Chancellor Vel of the Nilari. She's just one, hissed Governor Trin of the Zaruk. That was your mistake, said a quiet voice behind them. All heads turned. An old human general stood there, retired, forgotten, once considered harmless. She's not just one. She's a mother. Back on the ground, Alara moved like a storm with a soul. She had found her daughter, Luma, half-conscious, locked in a containment ring that pulsed with blue light. One whisper from Alara, and Luma's eyes opened. Mom? Yes, baby, I'm here. The ring didn't last long. Alara's blade cut through it with a spark and a scream. She wrapped Luma in her arms, tighter than ever before. Are you hurt? I was scared. You won't be again. They didn't run. They didn't hide. Alara walked straight through the main corridor, carrying her child. She made no effort to sneak. Let them come. They did. Dozens of armed guards. Robots, drones. She stood firm, Luma in one arm, rifle in the other. Then something happened that the council never expected. The guards hesitated. These weren't machines. They were people. Many had families. Many had heard the broadcast. And now, they saw a human mother protecting her child against an empire. One by one, they lowered their weapons. Not a single shot was fired. On the council's command ship, emergency alarms blared. Containment breach in 42 sectors. Council troops refusing orders. Civilian uprisings across 9 planets. The council had thought humans were under control. They were wrong. They had taken too much. They had gone too far. And Alara was the spark that lit the galaxy's anger. But even in chaos, one council commander made a final move. Commander Silrax, a brutal war veteran, launched an orbital cannon. He didn't care who died. He only wanted Alara silenced. There are cannon powered up, 10 seconds to fire. 9. 8. Alara looked up, and then a voice echoed from space. This is Admiral Harris of the Human Resistance Fleet. If that cannon fires, we will consider it a declaration of war. The council froze. What resistance? They had destroyed Earth's armies years ago, right? Wrong. Across the stars, old Earth ships uncloaked, battered, hidden, forgotten, but armed and angry. The humans had never been defeated. They had simply been waiting, watching. And now, they were done being quiet. The orbital cannon powered down. Commander. Silrax disappeared from the command room, dragged out by his own crew, and Alara walked free, surrounded not by soldiers, but by silence. The council had just lost its grip, and it all started with one woman, walking with her daughter in her arms and fire in her eyes. They gave her a ship to leave, a clean one, new engines, fresh fuel, no trackers. It wasn't a gift. It was a warning. "Leave while you still can," the new council message said. "You got your child. Now disappear. You won't be forgiven a second time." Alara stared at the message, then deleted it. She looked at Luma sleeping quietly. Beside her, wrapped in a warm blanket on the ship's medbed, a soft light blinked over her head, reading stable vitals. Safe. Alive. But not okay. Alara had seen the tests, the scans, the scars left by machines that had touched her daughter's mind. They wanted forgiveness? No. They were going to get justice. She didn't fly away from the council. She flew toward them, straight to Galaxis Prime, the core of the council's empire, the place they believed untouchable. But Alara wasn't coming alone this time. One transmission, one signal. And across the stars, every human cell, every hidden fleet, every old warrior and retired spy awoke from their silence. Alara's story had reached deep places, and from those places, monsters rose, monsters shaped like humans who had lost everything and were waiting for a reason to return. This wasn't a war. This was payback. Inside Galaxis Prime, the council was panicking. Alien rulers yelled over each other. "Activate shields. Close the sky lanes. Where is the fleet?" Too late. From the clouds above the capital, old Earth warships appeared. Ships thought destroyed decades ago. They weren't pretty. They were angry, covered in black steel and scars, powered by rage and memories. And at the front of this storm was Alara's small ship. She sent one message on open frequency. "This is for every child you hurt. This is for every lie you told. This is for every mother who never got to hold her baby again. You should have left us alone." Then she dropped, through fire, through shields, through fear. Her ship crash-landed at the council spire. Flames rose around her. Smoke filled the sky. But she walked out untouched, clad in armor built from 3 generations of human wars, carrying a rifle no council soldier had ever seen, and a blade that had tasted blood from 5 planets. Behind her, more humans poured out. Survivors, soldiers, even civilians who had lost children to council labs. They didn't come to negotiate. They came to end it. Room by room, tower by tower, Alara led the storm. Council guards fought back, but their hearts weren't in it anymore. Rumors had spread. She walked through a city of guns holding her daughter. She shut down an entire lab with just one message. She burned Section 9 alone. Now seeing her in person, walking like death with purpose, many guards simply dropped their weapons and stepped aside. Even the strongest empires can't stand against a mother's fury backed by a planet's pain. At the top of the spire, the 12 council rulers waited. They expected a speech, a threat, a chance to beg. Alara gave them none. She opened the doors with a blast and walked in. Behind her, the humans waited, silent, watching. The Chancellor stood up. "You dare threaten peace?" Alara looked him dead in the eye. "You were never peace. You were a cage." He raised a trembling finger. "You won't survive this." She raised her blade. "I already have." The great council spire was no longer silent. It shook, not from explosions, not from weapons, but from footsteps, human ones, and leading them was Alara, holding her daughter in one arm and her history in the other. The alien rulers, once dressed in pride and power, were now backed into the far end of the chamber, trembling. Their robes hung like torn curtains. Their eyes flicked between escape routes and excuses, but there were no doors left. No guards. No more lies, just Alara. She stepped into the council hall with the weight of every stolen child, every erased memory, every fake promise the galaxy had swallowed. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her silence was loud enough. The chancellor, who once smiled on peaceful posters across the stars, finally spoke. If you kill us, it will spark chaos. You'll be the reason for another war. Alara stared at him, then gently placed her sleeping daughter on a padded chair. She walked forward and picked up a discarded council crest from the floor. It was cracked, just like their control. She looked at it and then said softly, "War didn't start with me. It started with a cage built for a child." The chancellor swallowed hard. "We didn't know. You knew." Her voice cut like ice. "You labeled us, tagged our children like cargo. You used peace as a mask and harvested fear underneath." Behind her, the human forces stood still. No cheering. No screaming. They were watching history. This wasn't a battle anymore, it was a trial, and the sentence was coming. One of the youngest council members, barely older than a trainee, whispered, "What do you want?" Alara turned her head, slowly. "What I want," she repeated. She stepped closer until the council could smell the smoke still clinging to her armor. "I want every human child taken for testing returned, alive. I want every alien family who joined this horror brought to justice. I want every lab destroyed, every document burned, and every lie erased. And I want the galaxy to remember." She leaned forward. "What happens when you touch a mother's child?" A slow clapping echoed from the shadows. From a broken archway emerged General Kor, the council's military dog, half cybernetic, all cruelty, a war criminal hidden behind medals and redacted files. "Powerful words," he growled. "But in the end, you're still just a mother with a grudge." The humans raised their weapons. Alara raised her hand. "Don't," she said calmly. Then she walked to General Kor, eyes locked. He raised a blade. She didn't flinch. He swung. She caught his wrist mid-air, twisted, and drove her own dagger into the soft meat of his neck. No scream, just a gurgle. She let his body fall. The council said nothing, not even a breath, because they knew. It was over. Not just their reign, but the idea that they were untouchable, that a council badge meant immunity, that humans would bow forever, that children were weak things to use and discard. All of that ended in the silence after Kor's body hit the floor. Alara walked back to her daughter. She picked her up gently, brushing a strand of hair from Luma's cheek. Then she turned to the others, human, alien, hybrid, not just soldiers, citizens, parents, children who had grown up in cages and were now free. She stood before them and spoke not as a fighter, but as a mother. "This isn't just about me. This is about all of you. For too long we were told to behave, to be quiet, to let the council decide our future, but they forgot something simple. We're human, and we protect what's ours." Across the galaxy, her voice echoed. On every screen, in every town square, aboard every trading station, aliens paused mid-meal. Soldiers on distant outposts lowered their rifles. Children watched with wide eyes. And in that moment, Alara didn't just speak for Earth. She spoke for every voice that had ever been silenced. Days passed, then weeks. Then the council charter was dissolved. Every surviving member stood trial, not in secret rooms but in open broadcast across the stars. Alien leaders who supported the research were stripped of rank. Alara refused to take their place. "I'm not here to rule," she said. "I'm here to make sure no one like you rules again." New alliances formed, not based on power, but truth. Humans became something new in the eyes of the galaxy. Not monsters, not threats, not tools, but survivors, protectors, and something far more dangerous, the species you never want to make angry. 1 year later, a new building stood where the council spire once was. Not tall, not flashy, just a strong round hall called the House of Memory. Inside were names carved into stone, of every child stolen, every family broken, every person who rose to fight. And at the center was a statue, a human woman holding her daughter. One hand carried a rifle, the other held a teddy bear. The inscription below read, "She burned down empires, just to bring one little girl home." Some say Alara retired and grew old on a green planet where no one asked for war. Others say she joined the stars, traveling to stop more pain wherever it dared grow. But one thing all species now agree on: never underestimate a human's love. And never ever hurt their child. The galaxy feared human fury, but they never truly understood it until they saw a mother's rage.